Have questions you want answered? Send them to me. AskBadBrad@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, leave comments. Forget about it. Hey, folks, the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwitt. And you're watching another episode of Ask Bad Brad, where I take your questions on anything and answer them. And I got some good ones today. I look forward to answering. Now, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at BadBradRSR. Again, it's at BadBradRSR. And make sure you leave comments on the video here, like it, share it, retweet it, and don't forget to subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Picked up a lot of new subscribers from around the world, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So it's Thursday. Let's get into this group of questions on the Ask Bad Brad show. First up, hey, Bad Brad. Ruth Lorraine from Detroit, Michigan with a quick question. Who do you think is going to win and why when Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia fight? What makes each of them good fighters, and what do you think are their weaknesses? Well, Ruth Lorraine, welcome back. I remember you from Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I remember you well. I remember our talks. Hope you're doing well. Hit me up offline in email and tell me how you're doing, okay? Gervonta Davis, good fighter, very good fighter, but his personal life seems to be his Achilles heel. He can't stay out of jail, which is an issue that I've had with a lot of fighters of recent day. They can't seem to stay out of trouble. But damn good fighter. We'll see. I don't think that fight's made yet, though. I looked it up. I haven't been following boxing as much as I used to because I'm kind of frustrated with the sport. Still love it, but frustrated with the fact that everything's on pay-per-view and you have jokes like Logan and Jake Paul coming into sport and making money when you have true fighters not making a fraction of the money that they make. I think they're bastardizing the sport. We'll always love it. I'm not thrilled with it these days, though. And to be honest with you, I don't watch it as much as I used to. So I don't think that fight is signed. If they do fight, Garcia's a good fighter from what I've seen of him. Davis, like I said, is a good fighter as well. It's a good fighter on paper. I'm going to hold back on making a prediction until the fight is actually signed, which I've always done. I don't like to make predictions unless the fight is made. All right? So send your questions. And Ruth, they don't always have to be on boxing because I know you do like the boxing questions, but you can ask me anything you want. And again, it's good for hearing from you. I hope you're doing well. Next up, Bad Brad. I was so impressed by President Biden's State of the Union address. What did you think of it? I also think it was repulsive what Marjorie Taylor Greene did during it. How do you think she should be handled by Speaker McCarthy? John L. from Alexandria, Virginia. Oh, Alexandria, Virginia. My old stomping grounds. I recruited out of Alexandria, Virginia from 1999 to 2001 when I was in the Navy. One of the schools that I recruited out of, high schools, was T.C. Williams, Return of the Titans. I think it was the movie with Denzel Washington. Great school. Enjoyed recruiting here and love Alexandria, Virginia. I miss it. Like to go back and visit. All right. Well, first, I thought the State of the Union address by President Biden was on the money. Best speech that he has ever given. And I love how he pushed back on Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid because they do want to take it. Rick Scott and Mike Lee and several others, you like to say it, but you don't like to be called out on it. And folks, whatever your political party is, shouldn't it be that something that we all paid in, including me, we should get? It's not an entitlement program, you rotten bastards. It's not entitlement. We paid into this. Are you kidding me? You're going to try to sunset it or whatever? Oh, and Ron Johnson, that Mama Luke from Wisconsin, Democrats, you should have put more backing behind Mandela Barnes because he had a very good chance of beating him. Okay, now it's going to be a while, I think. I think the next time he runs is in 6 years. But whatever it is, whoever runs against him, you need to put money up this time and help defeat him. It's not an entitlement program. So great State of the Union address. You also asked me, was the question, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Jeez, what can you say about this thing with that fur coat? I hope PETA goes after her. And why would you want to wear a fur coat when there was 1,000+ people in there? You know how hot it was in there? Jesus, was she showing off? But President Biden showed her up too. She could scream out and act a fool. And I want to correct you. You said Speaker McCarthy. John, you meant Speaker Greene. Because really, Greene is the speaker. Because Kevin doesn't have balls. He has seeds. And he's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything to Marge. He's scared of Marge. And I said it, Kevin, I hope this gets back to you. You don't have balls, you have seeds. And it's disgusting. 15 times you thought that was okay? You look like a fool, Mama Luke. Your party doesn't respect you. And I'm waiting for the first time they take the vote. Was it take one person to vote to remove you? I don't think you're going to do your whole term. I don't think you're going to last 2 years. But realistically, Greene is the speaker. All right, and that was it. Yeah, and McCarthy won't do anything to her. Next up, BB, I watched a video of your dad you have pinned on Twitter. Oh my God. I was in tears and shared with many members of my Jewish family here in Miami. Well, many were in tears, including me when I first saw it. Can you discuss what the big picture was he was doing at that time in 1977? Thanks, and keep fighting a good fight, E&G, Miami, Florida. Well, another stomping grounds I used to hang out with. I lived on Miami Beach, North Miami Beach, between the years 1975 and 1984, on and off. A couple of years in between there, I lived with my grandmother in Pontiac, but always wound up back in Florida till 84, then I went back to New York. What my dad was doing in that video was when the young man confronted him, my dad was fighting against Anita Bryant and her cult, which was basically the MAGA cult of today. They were trying to discriminate against gay people. And my dad was an ally of the gay community then, as I am an ally today of the LGBTQ community. And they defeated him. I can't remember exactly what the bill was, but it was crazy the way it was set up. It was like if you voted yes or no, it was for, and yes was against. They had it reversed because that wasn't a whole, that clip wasn't a whole segment on NBC Nightly News, June 2nd, 1977. And he also was talking about racism because he marched with Dr. King in '63, and he was always for anybody, Native Americans, gay community, at that time, Negroes. He was always for the underdog. He was Jewish. That's his side of the family was Jewish. The other side is Italian. So now you know my breakdowns. 50% on my Ancestry.com. European Jew never changes that 50%. And it's like 33% Southern Italy, a couple percent Northern or reversed, and 1 or 2% Greek or something like that, whatever it is, to get you to 100%. But that's what that clip was about. My father always fought against discrimination and racism and spoke on social issues at a personal cost. There was no Twitter. There was no Facebook. There was you in the streets with a sign and your voice. And sometimes you even needed these to protect yourself. So that's what it was about, Ian, and continue to share it because 46 years later, my dad's voice is just as relevant as it was on June 2nd, 1977. I get a little emotional talking about that. Thank you for asking about my dad. Last question. Bad Brad, I love how you share what you're watching as far as movies on Twitter. Okay. I love movies of yesteryear. I saw you were watching Errol Flynn movie last night called The Master of Ballantrae from 1953. I loved his role in that when he played Jamie. What are your top 3 favorite Flynn films? I bet our lists are close. Mary G. From, where are you from? You didn't put where you're from. You didn't put where you're from, Mary G. So if you write in the game, make sure you put where you're from. Always like showing how much diversity I have in a show. Love Errol Flynn, one of my favorites. My dad, being 40 years my senior, I grew up on all these movies of these great legendary actors. My number 1, 2, and 3, wait for a drum roll, which I need to get an effect for. Number 1, The Forsyte Women. I think it was 1946 or 47 with Greer Garstin, and I believe Walter Pidgeon was in it. That's my favorite one. When Flynn was given a role where he could really sink his teeth into it, he chewed up the scenery, as we used to say, acted for a little while. So it's an acting phrase. Chewed up the scenery. He was a damn good actor. He didn't get enough credit. And it's sad that he can't get an honorary Oscar all these years later. There's some films he should have been nominated and gotten an Oscar for. So Forsyte Woman is number 1. Woman, I think it is. Number 2 is Gentleman Jim. Love that. He played James Corbett against the great John L. Sullivan, a boxing movie. Loved him in that. I think that was 1942. I believe Alan Hale Jr. was in that. And my last, and there's so many, this is kind of hard, but my third, if I have to do 3, you said 3, my third one is what I say, Forsyte Women, Objective Burma. And my third one, what's just my third one? That's tough. That's tough. Oh boy, and so many are going through my head. I love the Charger Light Brigade. I love Captain Blood. I love number three. Who am I going to go with number 3? Objective Burma. That's what I'm going to go for number 3. War movie. William Prince was in it. Great movie. Yeah, Objective Burma. I love the Objective Burma. I think that was 1945. And I didn't get the chance to say Adventures of Don Juan, which would have been number 4. But you said 3, so Objective Burma. But there's a bunch of movies I love. Robin Hood and so on and so on and so on. Just great. Love Rocky Mountain. Kim. I loved him in Kim with Dean Stockwell, where he played Redbeard. So those are my 3. Okay, Mary? All right, folks. Remember, send your questions in to AskBadBrad@gmail.com. Again, it's AskBadBrad@gmail.com. Please put your name and put where you're from. You don't have to put your last name. Some people, if you want it, put your whole thing. I'll say it. If you just put the initial, that's fine, whatever. But please put your name and where you're from. I like to show diversity on my show. And remember, folks, I always close out like this. Every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad out.